31 entries, 7 levels. This is an iceberg of the most terrifying and disturbing things you can find on the internet. We'll begin with the strange and gradually uncover some of the most horrifying and deeply unsettling stuff along the way. Let's start at the tip of the iceberg. Level 1. Bill Meade. Bill Meade was a YouTuber who uploaded his first video to the platform on the 30th of June 2014. This was followed by a series of non-stop uploads that shared an unsettling similarity: a low-budget, static filming style paired with heavy religious themes.
Now here's the difference. For all that's in the world, 3 things are named. The lust of the flesh. Ever know about that? So many people do. The lust of the eyes.
As the uploads continued, something strange became apparent. Over just 4 months, Meade grew visibly weaker. Despite the odd video titles, most of his content was centered on his spiritual journey and devotion to God and Jesus. Then, in one video, Meade disclosed his deteriorating health, a cancerous tumor that started as a toothache and could hopefully be treated with surgery.
As you've seen some of my videos, and I do hope more of you will, you've noticed a man, not so young, but with a swollen jaw on the right side.
His uploads continued as his condition visibly worsened, leading to his final video on October 21, 2014, ominously titled 10-Hour Surgery Tomorrow. The description of the video was a request to his viewers for prayers for himself and his medical team. The video itself has no audio, and there's no way to exactly know what he says in it. After that, the channel went radio silent with no more uploads or updates. It's widely believed that Bill Meade sadly didn't survive the surgery, leaving behind a legacy captured in a series of YouTube videos. Level 2. The Hawaii Missile Scare. Amidst heightened tensions between the US and North Korea over nuclear weapons, a Hawaii Emergency Management Agency employee accidentally triggered an emergency alert that caused widespread panic across the state. On the 13th of January 2018, the Hawaii Emergency Management Agency issued an emergency alert prompting people to take immediate shelter. The message, stating ballistic missile threat inbound to Hawaii, seek immediate shelter, this is not a drill, was enough to make people stop and run for their lives. What's even odder is the fact that the government of Hawaii did not release a follow-up statement confirming or denying the alert for the next 38 minutes. The people of Hawaii were understandably hopeless and desperate. Naturally, this created uncontrollable commotion amongst the residents and tourists alike. People ran for shelter, some in flip-flops, while others called loved ones in despair. Residents described the situation as hopeless, spending those agonizing minutes fearing the worst and hoping for military intervention. After 40 minutes of literal hell, a second alert from the government finally declared the initial warning a false alarm, stating, "False alarm. There is no missile threat or danger to the state of Hawaii. Repeat, there is no missile threat or danger to the state of Hawaii. False alarm." Following the incident, a combined military investigation was carried out. It was revealed that the incident stemmed from a miscommunication during a routine drill. The employee responsible for sending the alert misunderstood the instructions, believing the scenario was real. He reportedly failed to hear the part of the exercise explicitly identifying it as a drill. The individual was later dismissed from their position. Thankfully, no one was physically harmed during the uproar, although the false alarm definitely managed to expose vulnerabilities in the state's emergency alert system. She's still sleeping. Timothy Birmingham. Timothy Birmingham is a food reviewer on YouTube known for his simplistic and down-to-earth videos. For the most part, Timothy comes across as a wholesome man enjoying life and filming himself eating food.
Hey everybody, how you doing? It's Cooking with Timothy. Tonight gonna be having air-fried pork chops.
However, in January 2017, things took a darker turn when he uploaded what seemed to be a routine vlog. The video began with Timothy filming his wife Penny apparently sleeping soundly in bed. He then left the room, remarking on how unusual it was for her to sleep so late. Turning the camera to the clock, he showed it was already noon and commented that Penny would typically be up by then, either on her computer or busy with something else. What he sadly didn't realize was that his wife had passed away last night, and he was basically all alone in the house. Throughout the rest of the video, he went about his day and was seemingly completely oblivious to the heartbreaking reality. Although the original video is now understandably on private, he does occasionally mention his late wife and has even uploaded a tribute to her on his channel. Drachenlord. Drachenlord is a German YouTuber who was mostly unknown outside of Germany before his controversial behavior online made him the target of excessively abusive trolls. Drachenlord's entire lore is what some might call a mixture of tragedy and dumb decisions on his part. The primary focus of his channel, at least when he had just started, was metal music, and he gained overnight fame for his intense headbanging. Unfortunately, not all fame is good, and in his case, most of it was really bad. Drachenlord was known for being outspoken and opinionated about things he did not have much of an idea about, and that's exactly what got him in trouble with the trolls. He was generally unliked by the public, and they unfortunately took their dislike to an unprecedented level, going as far as doxing and harassing him. His own decisions that followed weren't much smarter either. Drachenlord would actively threaten, insult, and challenge trolls to come get him at his house, even going as far as sharing his address. The entire property became a target for trolls. They dubbed his house the Dragon Bunker and turned vandalizing it into a game. They egged it, threw garbage inside, and even smashed his windows with bricks, calling it Dragon Games. Things kept spiraling out of control for Drachenlord, and he was clearly losing a part of himself to this very unwanted and cursed fame. His mental health deteriorated to the point where he began carrying sticks and randomly attacking unrelated people. He was exponentially spiraling down, and his content reflected that. Over the course of his controversial career, Drachenlord was arrested multiple times, leading to a 2-year prison sentence. He lost government and personal opportunities, ultimately hitting a dead end. Eventually, he was also banned from streaming, was forced to sell his house, and had to move away. He now lives a quieter life, but does occasionally run into trouble with haters. While Drachenlord himself may not be an entirely sympathetic character, the harassment he endured cannot be justified. Level 3. Jacqueline AIDS.
Hi guys, I'm Jackie.
Jacqueline AIDS, an esthetician from Paradise Valley, took her love bombing a bit too far when she was arrested at the house of the man she's been stalking, taking a bath. According to reports, AIDS had met the man, whose identity is kept under wraps for privacy reasons, on a luxury dating app called Luxy that allowed rich people to meet and go on dates with each other. The two exchanged a few texts and then finally went out on a date. Apparently, the date wasn't as successful as AIDS thought, and the man told her to not contact him again. For some reason, she took that as a sign to send the man over 65,000 texts over the course of the next few months. She was constantly stalking and bothering him, and even went as far as to threaten him on the very texts she considered a profession of her love. She reportedly told the man she was going to bathe in his blood and wear his fascia and skulls and bones. Her threats became increasingly more violent. She even went as far as saying she'd make sushi out of his kidneys and chopsticks out of his bones. Ultimately, though, when AIDS was finally arrested by the police and consequently interrogated, there was definitely something not right with her. Her interview was riddled with contradictions and unpredictable statements.
So the rest of the equation is L equals 3.3. L equals 3.3 times E equals MC squared, and that's the equation of eternal love.
She told the police she had no intention of hurting the man she loved, but also stated that she was going to do it if he ever left her. She was under the impression that they were in a fully committed relationship, with her even going as far as calling herself his wife. Her interviews clearly showed deep-rooted mental health issues with AIDS. As a result, when she was evaluated by mental health professionals, they confirmed that she was incompetent and ultimately her charges were dropped. What AIDS thought was her magical happily ever after turned out not so magical after all. Robert Fulton School Exploration. Urbex Hill is an urban explorer known for going to the creepiest, most dangerous-looking locations alone. While he does occasionally come across some pretty unsettling things, his trip to the Robert Fulton School takes the cake for being one of the most horrific and frankly dangerous encounters on his channel. The abandoned Robert Fulton Elementary School in Cleveland, Ohio is known for being a hotspot for plenty of criminal activity. The school building is fairly massive, and it's absolutely no surprise that it's filled with squatters and the homeless. What Urbex Hill didn't expect was such a hands-on experience with one. In the video, you can see him casually exploring the building and sometimes panning the camera at ominous writings on the wall. Something along the lines of warnings that say, "Don't explore alone." However, at the end of the video, Urbex Hill hears a strange sound from the distance, some sort of shuffling that startles him. He follows the sound and comes across a makeshift room covered with a yellow curtain. When he pulls the curtain aside to peek inside, he hears an absolutely horrific, chill-inducing shriek that evokes the YouTuber's fight and flight, and he instantly runs away. The voice continues for a few seconds until Urbex Hill is out of the man's private space. The YouTuber is visibly shaken as he runs down all the stairs and tries to exit the building as fast as possible. He ends the video by adding a clip from his exploration footage, clearly showing a man in the shadowy area of the building walking across one of the rooms. Intruder caught on camera. During the peak COVID months, a TikTok video went viral for all the wrong reasons. It was uploaded by a woman named Hannah Viverette, who had no idea her ordinary day would take such a terrifying turn. Hannah's TikTok channel was her creative outlet, often featuring videos of her dancing as a form of expression. On November 22, 2020, she was filming one such routine when she glanced at her balcony door and froze. Standing on her balcony door was a man in a red shirt trying to make his way into Hannah's apartment. Like any reasonable person, Hannah panicked and demanded to know who he was. The man muttered something in Spanish before chillingly asking, "Am I your friend?"
Please get out. No, please get out.
Things escalated as he opened her door and began stepping inside. Hannah, thinking quickly, grabbed her camera, told him to leave, and ran to her neighbor's door where she called 911. The intruder was identified as Angel Moises Rodriguez Gomez, a resident in the building across from Hannah within the same apartment complex. After the incident, Hannah recounted previous encounters where Rodriguez Gomez had made her and another woman in the complex uncomfortable. She also recalled another incident from a few months back when she had found a maintenance notebook lying by her couch near her front door. She said she found it in the middle of the night and it spooked her out so much that she took it to her building staff. Unfortunately, the only thing they could do at the time was change her locks for peace of mind. In hindsight, it was clear Rodriguez Gomez had likely entered her apartment before and had left behind subtle yet horrifying evidence of his presence. Rodriguez Gomez was eventually arrested on multiple charges including stalking, burglary, and property destruction. Despite this, Hannah chose to move to a new apartment, a decision no one could blame her for. Manukau Tungiavalu baby abduction. A parent's worst nightmare became a reality for this New Zealand couple in 2017 when they woke up to find their newborn baby missing in her cot.
My 11-day-old baby daughter had been taken.
Just 11 days after the birth of their baby, the couple went through hell when they realized their daughter had been kidnapped. Fortunately for them, the entire crime was captured on their backdoor CCTV camera, and it was as horrifying as they had feared. The footage revealed a woman wearing a balaclava sneaking into the house through the back door. Moments later, she reappeared with a baby in her arms and a bag filled with stolen items. According to reports, a few hours after the kidnapping and robbery, the couple's evening nanny made a commotion to alert them of what had gone down. Police were immediately called and a massive search operation was launched. Fortunately, the baby was found within hours and safely returned to her parents. 19-year-old Sydney Tolapapa was taken into custody, but the investigation revealed a shocking twist. The mastermind behind the kidnapping was the very nanny who had alerted the parents of the robbery in the first place. 21-year-old Nadine Faye Manukau Tongiavalu, who had been with the couple for just 3 days, had reportedly been acting suspiciously for months. She had been fabricating her own pregnancy and lying to her family, claiming that she and her boyfriend were expecting a baby boy. Nadine even went so far as to arrange her own baby shower. Eventually, when her due date came closer and she still didn't have a baby in hand, Nadine spun another lie, claiming her child had been taken away. She was desperate to keep up her lie and eventually convinced her 19-year-old cousin, Tolapapa, to help her retrieve the baby. According to lawyers, Tolapapa was under the impression that she was helping Nadine get her own baby back. Nadine was sentenced to 3 years in prison for her role in the crime, while her cousin was released without conviction. The Hidden Trap House in Northern California. Hidden rooms and secret entryways are all fun and games in escape rooms or video games. But in real homes with zero backstory and suspicious-looking items, they hit very differently. Take the case of a cleaner in rural Northern California who had a job revamping a very odd-looking house in the middle of nowhere. What started as a routine cleaning job turned into a nightmare when they stumbled upon multiple hidden rooms in the house they were assigned to work on. Not knowing how to process the situation, they shared the entire experience in a Facebook group listing some pretty eerie details. According to the cleaner, the house, built in 1941, had belonged to a single family until it was sold to the current owner. The visible parts of the house didn't scream haunted or crime scene. Sure, the decor was chaotic and the interior of the house was uncoordinated, but nothing raised any alarms until they discovered the first hidden room. It was completely concealed beneath the master bedroom floor, hidden behind a nailed-down, massively heavy door. Opening it revealed a staircase leading to a room with handmade bunk beds and filthy mattresses. But that wasn't the worst of it. The room had cabinets in it and also an old wooden stove with contents in it, as suspicious as they come. Whatever the cleaner found in the stove was so disturbing that they immediately contacted law enforcement. They didn't disclose what they saw, but some speculate it could have been human remains or something equally sinister, given how quickly the police got involved. It didn't end there. More hidden rooms were uncovered in the attic featuring similar bunk beds and cabinets. None of the rooms had plumbing or electricity, adding to the unsettling vibe. The case gained attention in 2020, but has since gone cold. The original Facebook post including a chilling comment from another user warning others to stay away from the property, entirely considering how the area was known for being a hotspot for suspicious activities and active cults. Delphi murders. What started as an ordinary day in Delphi, Indiana, took a tragic turn on February 13, 2017, that left an entire tight-knit community broken and scared. Abigail Williams and Liberty German were two average teenagers with big dreams and a whole lot to give to the world. They were the best of friends and were known to be joined at the hip at all times. Like every other normal teenager, one day in the afternoon of February 13th, Liberty and Abigail decided to take a short trip to the local trails they had known since they were children. Throughout their little excursion, the girls were being kept an eye on by family through social media, which showed that they were posting and being active until 3 p.m. Unfortunately, when Libby's grandfather went to pick them up from their trip at 4 p.m., they had failed to show up. Initially, their absence did not raise too many alarms in their family's heads, since they were, after all, teens, and being a little late wouldn't matter much. However, when a considerable time had passed and they still hadn't managed to appear, they were finally reported missing and a massive search was underway. What seemed like a normal teenage disappearance took a turn for the worse when, tragically, Abigail and Liberty's bodies were discovered near the Monon High Bridge Trail in Delphi Historical Trails. This sent the entire tight-knit community into shock. The only evidence police had was a video from one of the girls' phones that showed a man walking towards them and saying, "Down the hill." For years, despite thousands of tips and witness statements, the case remained unsolved. However, the investigation gained new momentum in 2022 when a man named Richard Allen was taken into custody. Allen, who had reportedly been on the trails the same day as the girls, claimed he was there to watch the fish. He was seen wearing clothing resembling that of the man in the video, and one very critical piece of evidence linked him to the crime. A .40 caliber unspent round was found near the girl's body at the initial crime scene, and investigators managed to match it to the gun owned by Allen. Witnesses also reported seeing his truck parked near the trails that day. Richard Allen was ultimately charged with the murders of Abigail Williams and Liberty German. Mysterious doll on the river. The discovery of a massive doll floating in the Rio Grande River has left locals and internet users baffled. What made the incident truly unsettling was the state of the doll. It was wrapped in a sack made to resemble a corpse and was eerily oversized. The doll was initially brought up in a Reddit post. The original poster talked about the doll's grotesque features and an apparition in the very fire it was burned in. The most disturbing details were its claw-like bony fingers, large beady eyes, and a gaping mouth that gave it an eerie, lifelike appearance. This was no ordinary toy. Naturally, the Reddit post sparked a wave of theories. Some leaned towards the supernatural, claiming it was a demon in disguise. Others suggested it was a prop for a horror film. What made people assume it was a prop was the doll's eerie similarity to Slappy from the Goosebumps series. The doll in the series was a ventriloquist dummy with the exact same gaping mouth and eyes, although smaller in size. This led many to believe it was either a Halloween decoration or a horror-themed prop. More practical theories included the possibility of it being an animatronic from a fortune teller machine or an illusionist prop usually kept in circuses and amusement parks. Still, the supernatural angle surrounding it was the most favored by the internet, which was further fueled by what happened after the doll was removed from the river. Locals, uneasy about the doll, burned it shortly after its retrieval, which only added to the mystery. Some claimed to see a face in the flames, while others speculated the act of burning was part of an ancient ritual or witchcraft native to the region. Strangely, the doll remained largely intact despite being set on fire, retaining its creepy features, a detail that left even skeptics questioning its origin. Whether it's a prop, a ritual object, or something otherworldly, one thing's for sure: the doll is as creepy as they come. Level 4. Fatal Lexus Crash.
Hello?
One of the most heartbreaking things to ever circulate the internet is the audio of a 911 call that ends in tragedy. The call comes from Chris Lastarella, who, along with his family, had just wrapped up a week-long vacation. The loaner 2009 Lexus sedan they were driving lost control on the highway, leading to the tragic deaths of everyone in the car. The driver was Mark Sayer, a California Highway Patrol (CHP) officer who knew these roads like the back of his hand. He was driving his family to a soccer game on a Friday night when the car's accelerator pedal got stuck. In the car with him were his wife, his daughter, and his brother-in-law, Chris Lastarella, who made the now infamous 911 call. Witnesses reported the car speeding uncontrollably down the highway, reaching over 100 miles per hour. In the haunting 911 call, Lastarella explains the situation to the operator, detailing the stuck accelerator and failed brakes. In his final moments, he tells his family to pray seconds before the impact can be heard of. The car flipped multiple times before coming to a stop in a dry riverbed on the side of the road where it instantly caught fire, likely due to the scorching brakes. Friends and relatives of the family later commented that it seemed unthinkable for Mark Saylor, a seasoned CHP officer, to have been unable to stop the car. This detail fueled outrage, ultimately pressuring Toyota into issuing one of the largest recalls in its history. They blamed the crash on all-weather floor mats, which were replaced in nearly 10 million vehicles. Whatever the root cause of the crash, it doesn't change the devastating fact that an entire family lost their lives due to negligence. Water drinking contest. In 2007, a woman from Sacramento, California took part in a radio competition known as Hold Your Wee for a Wee. The seemingly harmless contest challenged participants to drink as much water as possible for a chance to win a Nintendo Wii. What the radio staff either didn't know or didn't care enough to research were the dangers of over-consuming water. Something that seems harmless, even beneficial, can quickly become life-threatening if overdone. Drinking too much water can cause water intoxication, which may lead to brain swelling and, in very rare cases, death. Unfortunately for Jennifer Strange, she became one of those rare cases. A loyal fan of the radio station that had organized the challenge, the 28-year-old entered the competition in hopes of winning a Nintendo Wii for her 3 kids. Contestants were given small half-pint bottles to drink from, and Jennifer managed to consume about 2 gallons of water during the 3-hour event. Throughout the competition, Jennifer complained about severe stomach pain and feeling unwell, but the DJs laughed it off. The contest ended with her earning 2nd place and winning tickets to a Justin Timberlake concert. Tragically, just hours later, Jennifer was found unresponsive in her bathroom. Jennifer Strange passed away in January 2007 due to water intoxication, leaving everyone who knew her devastated and heartbroken. Her family, understandably furious, immediately sued the radio station for its recklessness. As the case unfolded, even more disturbing details came to light. Court proceedings revealed that the station and its staff had been warned multiple times about the dangers of the challenge. Listeners had even called the station during the contest to warn them about potential risks, only to be dismissed.
Those people that are drinking all that water can get sick and possibly die from water intoxication.
Yeah, we're aware of that. They signed releases, so we're not responsible.
The DJs were heard on air saying the participants had signed waivers, so the station bore no responsibility. One particularly chilling moment from the event features a DJ joking, "Your body is 98% water, why can't you take in more?" Adding insult to injury, Jennifer had not been informed of any potential risks before participating. Jennifer's family sued the station for gross negligence, ultimately winning their case. But no courtroom victory could undo the devastating loss of a mother and daughter taken by what should have been an innocent competition. 2017 Wichita swatting. Swatting, calling in fake emergencies to dispatch armed police, has plagued the online world for years. However, this one swatting incident in 2017 over a mere $1.50 wager in a Call of Duty game led to a tragic and entirely avoidable death of a completely innocent man. It began with an online feud between Casey Viner and Shane Gaskill, sparked by a lost Call of Duty match and a small monetary bet. Their argument escalated on Twitter, with Viner threatening to swat Gaskill. Gaskill took things further and taunted him by providing an address, though it wasn't his own. Unbeknownst to Viner, the address belonged to a completely unrelated man, Andrew Finch, a father of 2 living in Wichita, Kansas. Viner enlisted the help of Tyler Barris, a known swatter who went by the online alias Swatistic, to make the call. Barris, no stranger to making hoax emergency calls, spun an unhinged and disturbing story during his 911 call. He claimed he had shot his father, was holding other family members hostage. Barris followed the elaborate lie by saying he had poured gasoline all over the house and was going to light it on fire if the police came. When officers arrived at Finch's home, he stepped outside, confused and likely terrified by the armed officers surrounding him. Tragically, within moments, Officer Justin Rapp fatally shot Finch, claiming he believed Finch was reaching for a weapon. The bullet struck Finch in the chest, killing him within 17 minutes. The incident caused waves of outcry amongst the Wichita residents. Some expressed concerns over the unprofessional, negligent, and downright deadly attitude of the cops. Others highlighted the dangers of swatting and demanded stricter measures against the perpetrators. While Officer Rapp faced no criminal charges, those involved in the swatting plot were held accountable. Meanwhile, Barris was sentenced to 20 years in prison. Viner and Gaskill, the instigators of this tragedy, received 15 and 18 months, respectively. Andrew Finch was an innocent man caught in the crossfire of a $1.50 grudge that cost him his life. This simply proves just how dangerous online feuds and the people willing to escalate them can be. Philip Schwab. Philip Schwab, a 33-year-old man suffering from severe mental illness, was arrested after police discovered the brutally murdered body of his girlfriend, Kaylin Blue, buried in a shallow grave in his backyard. On June 23, 2019, police were dispatched to Schwab's residence in response to a welfare check requested by Blue's friends and family. They were concerned by her sudden disappearance from work and the lack of contact, and feared the worst. When officers arrived, Schwab led them straight to the backyard to a recently dug shallow grave in a flower bed. Police had also noticed blood splattered inside the house, confirming their suspicions that this was no ordinary welfare check. Kaylin Blue was known by friends and family as a kind, optimistic woman. Just a day before her murder, she had shared an optimistic and cheerful Facebook status, stating she was happy to spend the evening at home. In sharp contrast to that, Schwab's post on the same day painted a horrific picture completely opposite of Kaylin. He had dozens of posts hinting toward the murder, with most of them being completely deranged and remorseless. "She deserves quicker," he wrote in one of the posts. Reports revealed the gruesome details of the murder. In the middle of the night, Schwab attacked Blue while she slept, plunging a knife into her neck. Despite her attempts to fight him off or escape, she was repeatedly stabbed before succumbing to her injuries. Schwab then buried her body in the backyard. He also killed their 2 dogs and threw their remains in a garbage bin. When asked about the motive, Schwab didn't seem to have any solid reason. He said that Blue had a habit of thrashing in her sleep and had hit him multiple times that night. This potentially irked him into doing the unthinkable. Given the brutality of the crime and Idaho's death penalty statuses, many expected Schwab to receive the maximum sentence. However, he was later diagnosed with DeGeorge syndrome, a rare genetic disorder linked to severe mental health issues. This diagnosis ultimately spared him the death penalty, and he was sentenced to 25 years to life in prison. Level 5. Nokia 2-on-2. In 2009, an anonymous person named Nokia 2-on-2 made his identity known on the niche tech-inclined forum known as Hack Forums, a site mostly consisting of IT experts and some questionable operations. His arrival quickly altered the dynamic of the site thanks to his generous nature. He was known for posting gigs on the forum that required the expertise of its members. He was also known for compensating very well for these gigs, which earned him respect from the forum's members. However, Nokia 2-on-2's job postings, which initially started off as harmless, quickly became downright dubious. This raised suspicions across the forum about his whereabouts and origins. Nokia 2-on-2 started off as an investor interested in buying ideas from the forum's members, ideas that were quirky and different. But soon, it changed to him commissioning people for mass hacking, deleting social media accounts, and fabricating engagement. Despite being very active on a hacking forum, Nokia 2-on-2 was unfortunately not as tech-savvy as he thought he was. Around 2016, his Hack Forums account disappeared, which triggered an online hunt to figure out who he really was. He had left behind very visible traces of his identity, and it was soon discovered that he was Saud al-Qahtani, a royal court advisor to the now ruler of Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman. While al-Qahtani was officially a court advisor, he was also the head of the Saudi Arabia Intervention Force, a group used to keep Saudi citizens and officials in check by any means necessary. They used their influence to detain, force, and coerce individuals who went against the interests of the Saudi government. Al-Qahtani was known for monitoring journalists and was even reportedly involved in the assassination of Jamal Khashoggi, a dissident journalist who was tortured and killed in 2018. Al-Qahtani, while initially one of the prime suspects in the murder, was recently cleared of any charges despite having clear involvement in it. In the end, it's chilling to think that someone who once lurked in online forums pretending to be just another tech enthusiast was actually masterminding some of the most horrific acts of control and violence, allegedly. Cassie Jo Stoddard murder. A narcissist's need for fame can be projected onto the world in different ways. The Cassie Jo Stoddard murder is a reminder that even the most harmless-looking people among us can go to extreme lengths for the need to be seen by the world. Cassie Jo Stoddard was a 16-year-old who was house-sitting for her aunt and uncle when two of her classmates broke in and brutally murdered her. They were reportedly influenced by different horror movies and wanted to recreate a real-life scenario where they would kill someone. Unfortunately, Cassie Jo Stoddard was the victim they chose. On the day of the murder, Cassie invited her boyfriend, Matt Beckham, and her classmates, Brian Draper and Tori Adamczyk, to the house to hang out. She gave them a tour of the house, and they settled down to watch a movie together. Eventually, Draper and Adamczyk left the house claiming they were going to the theater, leaving Cassie alone with Matt. The two returned after a while fully equipped and ready to kill both Cassie and potentially Matt.
Unfortunately, we have the grueling task of our two friends.
They entered the house from its basement and stayed there for a considerable amount of time trying to lure the couple downstairs. They made noises and cut off the power in hopes that the two would eventually come to fix it. When that didn't happen, they gave up momentarily and turned the power back on. After a few hours, Cassie's boyfriend was picked up by his mom, and Cassie was left alone in the house again. Brian Draper and Tori Adamczyk finally took this as a chance to resume what they were doing, and this time, they managed to get Cassie downstairs. They then attacked her in the most brutal way, stabbing her approximately 30 times.
I stabbed her in the throat, and I saw her lifeless body.
Afterward, the boys disposed of the clothes and weapons they used, allegedly burning them nearby. Draper and Adamczyk's trial revealed just how obsessed they were with the idea of being infamous, and their creepy videos made it clear that they were preparing for something like this. Both received life sentences without the possibility of parole. Travis the Chimp. The ownership of exotic animals has always been a hot topic, with many people rightfully calling for a ban. And there's no better example of why this law is needed than the horrific events of February 2009. A chimpanzee, once thought to be tame and humanized, attacked a woman, leaving her severely disfigured and injured. The attack set off a chain of events that are still remembered today. The chimp in question, Travis, wasn't your average pet. Raised almost like a human, he did things that made people believe he was incredibly smart. He drank wine, wore clothes, and even knew how to drive a car and unlock doors. He was loved by everyone around him and had no prior history of being violent to anyone. Despite all of that, Travis was still, at the end of the day, a wild animal. On what seemed like a normal day at Sandra Harold's home, Travis suddenly turned on Charla Nash, a close friend of Sandra's, and attacked her. The attack was vicious and unrelenting and had left Charla with catastrophic injuries to her face and hands. Sandra was desperate to stop the assault and did everything she could think to stop him, even going as far as to hitting and stabbing him. She later told interviewers how much hurting Travis had traumatized her.
It's horrible. I mean, his blood going into his room where he was shot.
Sandra fled to her car in a panic and called 911, thinking her friend was already dead. You can clearly hear Travis screaming in the background in the chilling call. Sandra desperately tried to explain the situation to the operator, but her panic was very evident. Everything took a very horrifying turn when she cried out to the operator, "He's eating her."
He's getting ripped apart.
When the police arrived, Travis charged at their vehicle, forcing them to shoot. Despite being hit, he managed to retreat into the house where he collapsed in his cage moments later. The attack ended, but the damage was done. Charla survived, but the physical and emotional toll was unimaginable. She endured multiple surgeries, including a groundbreaking face transplant, and lost her hands, her vision, and much of her mobility. Her hand transplant was eventually removed due to complications with pneumonia and poor circulation. Despite everything, Charla continues to survive, forever marked by the horrors she endured. On the other hand, Sandra passed away just a few months after the attack from an aortic aneurysm. Her doctors claimed that she had endured a plethora of tragic events and, in the end, her heart, which had been broken so many times before, could take no more. This story isn't just about a single violent outburst. It's a reminder of the dangers of not giving animals the respect they deserve. Travis wasn't evil. He was just a chimpanzee forced to live a life that wasn't meant for him. Level 6. Moscow Party Gone Wrong. Yekaterina Didenko, a Russian influencer and pharmacist with more than 1 million followers on Instagram, had her entire life turned upside down on her birthday. A day that was meant to be celebrated quickly became one of the most dreadful days of her life, when her husband and 2 close friends died in a dry ice incident at her birthday party.
Валя больше нет с нами. Еще Наташа и Юра.
Dry ice is basically solidified carbon dioxide that turns into carbon dioxide gas after changing states. CO2 gas is heavier than air and tends to stay on the lower areas of a particular room. And since it is CO2, it's naturally a suffocant that can cause instant lung problems if inhaled directly. Dry CO2 was exactly what caused the tragedy at Yekaterina Didenko's birthday party in February 2022. As a neat little party trick, Yekaterina ordered it to be put inside her indoor pool for a smoke effect, and her husband, Valentin Didenko, was one of the first to jump into the pool afterward. Moments later, Valentin surfaced, flailing his arms as though he was struggling to breathe. But with the party in full swing and everyone caught up in the excitement, no one realized the danger. Instead of helping, a few other guests joined him in the pool, unaware of what was about to happen. Yekaterina Didenko's husband, Valentin Didenko, an IT specialist, died from suffocation at the hospital, while 2 other partygoers, Natalia Monakova and Yuri Alferov, were declared dead at the scene. There were other reports of multiple attendees suffering chemical burns and lung problems. Level 7. Kalamazoo Home Invasion. On December 1st, 2019, 21-year-old father and husband Christopher Neal tragically lost his life protecting his wife and daughter from a home intruder who held the family hostage. The entire incident was captured in a chilling 911 call made by Neal, which spiraled out of control within moments. It all began around 10 p.m. when a man named William Jones, 37, broke into the Neal family's home armed with 2 guns. Throughout the call, Neal can be heard desperately trying to calm both his wife and the intruder. The man appeared to have no clear motive for his actions. On the recording, Chris can be heard repeatedly asking the intruder what he wanted. At one point, he told his wife to take their daughter upstairs, trying to create some distance between them and the intruder.
There's a man in my house right now. Hold on, stop for a second. What? There's a man in my house.
Jones demanded to speak with the 911 operator. and Chris put the call on speaker. With the 911 operator, Jones insisted multiple times that he wasn't going to hurt anyone.
I'm not gonna harm you guys.
He also rambled on about how his life was in danger, but again, there was no clear reason or motive behind his actions. And let's be real, 2 shotguns in hand told a different story. When officers arrived at the scene, the operator transferred the call to a deputy who tried to talk Jones down.
Hey, this is Joe from the Sheriff's Department. How are you, man?
However, Jones hung up almost immediately. Moments later, a gunshot was heard by both the 911 operator and Chris's wife, followed by Jones whispering, "Christopher is dead." While Chris wasn't killed immediately, he was fatally shot in the head during the confrontation. 3 officers were also injured in the takedown. William Jones was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Lame Horse Club Fire. The Lame Horse Club fire was one of the deadliest fireworks-related accidents in the world and one of Russia's worst fire disasters after the Soviet Union's fall in 1991. The tragedy claimed over 150 lives and injured about 160 more. The photos that came out of the scene from that night were absolutely haunting. It happened on December 5, 2009, in an event that was initially regarded as a regular celebration party with over 300 attendees. Everything was going as planned until the event manager decided to light indoor fireworks for that extra bling. The problem was, the club was highly flammable and had plastic ceilings decorated with willow twigs that caught fire almost instantly. At first, things seemed under control. The MC told everyone to leave and most people were calm and composed. But then, the wooden decor caught fire, unleashing a thick, choking black smoke. That's when things spiraled into chaos. Resignations, dismissals, and criminal charges. The club owner and several others faced prison sentences ranging from 9 years to hefty fines of 70,000 rubles for negligence.